Greetings, fellow interlopers. It's Taylor. So let's talk coordinates and how to use them, shall we? With the latest edition of Sentinel Interceptors, ship hunting, I feel, is at an all-time high, along with travelers sharing glyphs of their finds, specifically ones that are A or S class. And then they usually attach some coordinates. So if you see a ship you want, and you have coordinates on how to get to the S class, having the glyphs is only going to get you part of the way. Yeah, you'll be in the same system as the ship you want, but if you want to find that S class, you've got to be at a specific spot on the planet. That's where coordinates come in. It's a simple concept, but judging by the many comments I see splashed all over Reddit, it seems to still confuse a lot of players. So let's dive into a short and sweet video about what coordinates are and how you can not only get a specific ship in a specific class, but you can share your finds with a precise location for others. So to start out, we're going to move into first person. To do that, just go into the quick menu and scroll all the way over to the gear. Select that and then move back over to the right and select Switch Starship View. Here I'll zoom in a little bit on the cockpit. Now on the left side of the console, you'll see the coordinates, which is this number, a comma, and then another number. Regardless of the type of ship you're flying, the coordinates are always going to be on the left side of the console. This is nothing more than a longitude and latitude of your current position on the planet you're on. Now, because these are planet-specific, the display only shows when you're in the atmosphere, so once you leave, it just goes away. So let's get to those numbers. As I mentioned earlier, they're longitude and latitude numbers. Now for some, you'll be like, oh, okay, cool. But if you're like me and hear that, you're like,
I don't understand the words you just said.
I mean, I knew what they were, I just wasn't sure how they applied to the game. Latitude is the first one listed. Put simply, this is a measurement of how far you are away from the equator, with the north and south poles being as far as you can go. So as mentioned, the first number is a measurement of distance from the equator. Since position is based on the angle from the center of the planet, it's expressed in degrees ranging from 0, which is the equator, to 90, which would be the poles. Anything above the equator will have a positive value. Anything below will be negative. Think of this as a tall building and you're going to catch an elevator and select your floor.
Hold the elevator! I remember this. What's your ID number?
It's 1142. Eat my ass!
Come on. Oh, I'll get the next one.
Plenty of room.
No, I'll just take the escalator.
Squeeze on in.
I'd rather my robes didn't smell like a fillet of fish all day, thanks.
If you're on floor minus 45, you know it's in the basement or south of the equator, exactly in the middle between the equator and the South Pole. Keep in mind that due to the planet's curvature, it's going to appear a lot lower than it really is. If you were at plus 45, you'd be exactly in the middle between the equator and the North Pole. Now, this doesn't tell you where on the floor you are, but it just tells us which floor we're on. So that brings us to the second number, which is the longitude. This is measured as distance either east or west from a single line on a planet. For us here on Earth, we call it the prime meridian. Think of longitude as a ribbon that's wrapped around the center of the planet, running east and west with a line running north and south, representing the prime meridian, or 0 degrees. As you move east, this number will grow larger, all the way up to 180. 180 would represent the spot on a planet that's exactly opposite of the prime meridian, or 0. If you keep going in the same direction, the plus 180 actually flips to minus 180. And you'll see the numbers get larger, only now they go from minus 180 all the way down to 0 again. There'll always be a negative value since you're working back from negative 180 to 0. When you look at a planet, few realize that the game actually gives you 0 degrees longitude, or the planet's equator. As you approach a planet, the name banner pops up and you'll see the line, there's a little dot at the end. This little dot is pointing right at the equator. If you aim to land as close to this dot as you can, you'll find that once you break atmosphere, the first number, the longitude number, will be pretty small. The smaller the number, the more accurate you were targeting the middle. Try it out yourself. But the second number, which is longitude, will not be fixed, because you could be approaching the planet from any angle. That's why it's easier to dial in your latitude first, because if you know you're up from down, then you know roughly which part of the planet, which floor to be on. So let's say we approach a planet and manage to land perfectly at 0, 0. This would mean that we landed perfectly on the equator as far as the latitude goes, and right on the prime meridian as far as the longitude goes. Hopefully this is making sense to everybody. So now that we have this idea of how coordinates work, let me show you how you can save boatloads of time when you're looking for a specific set of coordinates someone gave you for an awesome S-class ship. In this case, it's me. That's right. If you stick with me, you'll get a location of a sweet black and red Interceptor that I found yesterday. And yeah, it's even an S-class. I'll put up the glyph address here in a second, but the coordinates we're going to need are -46 and -39.75. Alright, so I'm at my trusty Euclid portal base, and let me put the glyphs in. With those in, I'll freeze it here for a second so you guys can screenshot it if you like. Alright, I'm going to jump through the portal. I will see you on the other side. Now we need to get a fix on where we're at on the planet. This is super easy. Just look at your visor, and you can see over on the right side, we're at +25.8 and -4.61. I bet you never look over to the right, do you? So applying this to everything we just talked about, we know that we're in the northern hemisphere, right? Because that latitude, the first number, is positive. As far as the longitude goes, the second number, if we were looking at this planet from space, and assuming that we put the prime meridian right in the center, we would plot our location just west of the prime meridian. Because our longitude is negative, we're not going to be too far off 0 degrees. And then the +25 would bring us into the northern hemisphere, about a quarter of the way to the North Pole. I say about a quarter because it's +25, remember? We start at 0 and North Pole is 90, so half that would be 45, and we basically just take half that, which can be deceiving, again, because of the roundness of the planet. So I'm going to put the dot a little higher than you would think. And just to verify, here's another tip that a lot of people overlook, or, well, just don't have a need for. If you go into your Discoveries tab, you'll see the planet that we're on, as well as a marker bouncing up and down, indicating where we're at. Pretty cool, right? And it's pretty much where we thought we were. A quick note about this menu screen. The diagram of this planet, it doesn't rotate or change its look in any way. It doesn't have a front and a backside as a 3D planet would have. 0 degrees latitude, or the prime meridian, would look the same on this map as if we were at 180. To put it another way, this menu will only show you how far away from either 180 or 0 you are, but it won't show you which side of the planet you're on. It's not a big deal, since once you enter the atmosphere, you'll be able to see your coordinates and know immediately. So going back to our target location of -46 and -39.75, we can see that we'll need to head south a pretty good ways, as well as west just a bit. So I like to figure this out before I hop in my ship to get a heading. So for us, we're going to head south-southwest. Before your head explodes, let's simplify and just look at the first number, the floor number or our latitude number. It's easy to get mixed up on which is which, latitude, longitude. So just remember that latitude, LA, would come first alphabetically over longitude, LO. Or if you're me, you just look at the very first number and see that as your floor number. That being said, our target location for latitude is -46. And since it's a negative number, we know it's in the southern hemisphere. It's not 45, but it's damn close, so we know it's going to be halfway between the equator and the South Pole. Accounting for the curvature of a planet, I'll estimate it right around here. Alright, so for the longitude, we need basically -40, so it's not quite halfway between the prime meridian and the far edge, which would be -90. Again, you gotta kind of guesstimate and know that it's gonna go further left than you think because of the curvature, so I'm gonna estimate it right about here. So this is the general direction I'm gonna aim for. When we get closer, we can fine-tune it. It's definitely not necessary to do all this. This is more for the video. I just get a general direction and just start heading that way. Okay, first we're going to get our heading of south-southwest. Pull straight up so you don't change your heading. And since we have a fair ways to go, I'm going to pulse. Now we're just going to pull into atmosphere to kind of see where we're at. Nice, so I pretty much nailed longitude. It's just latitude that's lacking a little bit. We're about 10 degrees north of where we need to be. But the good news is we can pretty much lock longitude in. So right now we just want to worry about north and south and then maintain our longitude. And I was asleep at the wheel and went too far south, so I got to whip a Yui here and find minus 46. Yeah, and here we are, the target location. So that's going to be it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you like this Interceptor, knock yourself out. You've got the target location and the glyphs. So thanks for watching. I appreciate you sticking with this. It was a little longer than my normal videos, but hopefully well worth it. This is Taylor with Whiskey Barrel Gaming. Have an S-Class day, guys.